Hey, welcome back to the Secret Underground Lair. So today I've got this large hand-hewn beam. It's about 9 inches square and about 30 inches in length. What I'm going to do is turn this into a bench. I saw one of these benches, actually a couple of these benches for sale at a nearby garden center, kind of upscale garden center. They were asking for over $400 for it. And I thought, well, that's something we could make, given this beam. What I have for legs are 4 of these pieces of 4-inch pieces of 1/4-inch steel, which I thought would be pretty good for legs. And the concept being, a leg would sit like that. And I'm going to cut another piece of 1/4-inch steel 2 inches long here to make a little foot. So the foot will sit out here. I can go through these holes to anchor it into the beam itself, using some heavy leg screws and some washers to hold that on. What it will require, of course, what I'm looking at here is the seating side. So on the bottom side, I'll have to cut a little, with my router, cut a little spot to accommodate that foot. And of course, the challenge is I want to make sure that all of the spots, all 4 spots, are in the same plane so that this will wind up being level. That'll be a little bit of a challenge. The first piece, though, is going to be cutting these little feet and welding the feet on at 90 degrees. I have another one of those angle brackets, 1/4-inch steel, put in the vise, and I have marked out my 2-inch sections that are going to be cutting out of this for the feet. I'm not going to use this piece. I don't want the hole. I want the feet to be solid. So I'll put the cutoff wheel in the grinder and we'll cut these off. And there's our 4 legs just kind of sitting in place. So I got this little foot welded onto here and ground that off. Still a little bit of touch up that I need to do. These welds weren't perfect, but a little bit of touch up on that will work. Each leg has a little bit of work to do, a little touch up on this edge, a little touch up here, but generally that's how they're going to be sitting. Kind of giving the bench sitting upside down at the moment, but that's what it'll look like. So for my next little bit, I'm going to flip this upside down so the legs will, right now this is the sitting surface. So I'll flip it over and figure out where the legs are going to be positioned on the underside of the bench, and figure out how to pocket these, what will be bolted onto the bottom of the bench, and pocket it evenly so that all the legs will sit even. So that's where I'm up to next. So to cut the pockets for the legs, I'm going to use this piece of 1/2-inch MDF as a template. But you may be able to notice that sitting on top of this beam, it is at a bit of an angle. You know, it's tilting this way. It needs to be level like this. Which means if I were to attach the legs exactly the way, onto this surface without doing any adjustment at all, I'd wind up with legs that are kind of skewed. So what I'm going to do is cut some material. Doesn't really matter what it is, but I'm going to cut it, make 4 legs, 4 legs for this piece of wood. It's 8 1/4 inches long. That will let me stand it up off the table exactly level or parallel with the table. With the seating side on the bottom here, that's fundamentally the top, but that's where somebody would sit. The legs are attaching here. I'm going to have this piece parallel to the table, which means that when I cut the pockets for the legs, they will be parallel and to the top. So I'm first going to get these legs, and then I'm going to cut the pockets, or cut some slots in here that I'll use as templates for a template router bit in the router. So I'll be back in a second when I have some 8 1/4 inch legs cut here. So I have now marked out the template piece. This is the section I'm going to cut out all along here. This is where the leg will sit. This line here marks the edge of the log itself, or of the beam. So the beam being this wide, a leg will sit in here, and a leg sits in here, a leg sits in here, and a leg sits in here. So I'm just on the bandsaw now, and I'm just going to cut these pieces out that can be used as used by the template bit on the router. So the template is now set in place. Got the little legs on it to keep it parallel with the table. I have a screw that I put in here, just not to draw the template tight to this, but simply to keep the template snug against, in place. So it's not going to slide around. And got a little bit with the template bearing in my little trim router. So I'll set you up and we'll try and cut one of these out. That was probably a little bit heavy for this little router, but it seemed to do the job. And I can see that I did make a mistake. I haven't got this quite big enough. So I'm off probably by a good 1/8 of an inch. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue to hog this out. And then I'll come back and I'll probably address that 1/8 of an inch either with just making a little pass by setting up a guide block with the router, or perhaps even just a chisel. But we'll carry on. I'll do the other 3 notches and come back when I'm done. Alright, got the notches cut. This presents a real nice fit, very snug. In fact, some of these are just a little too snug, so I'm going to have to use a chisel just to kind of ease them out a little bit. This one is just perfect. This one's a little snug, so do a little bit of adjustment on them. But overall, I'm very happy with the result that I got here. So, looking good. So I'm going to call that a video for today. We'll pick it up again tomorrow, finishing off these leg inserts. Then we'll do a little bit more work on finishing off the legs, get them painted. Yeah. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And I will see you on the next video.